Cyrene might be the biggest pump fake of all time, but there are many other characters coming in version 3.7. Because in this patch, guys, we are getting the best buffer of 3.0, the best DPS of 3.0, and the best sustain of 3.0. And while we might have the biggest pump fake of all time in Cyrene, I still think she is good for 3.x related characters. So in today's video, guys, we'll be covering all the pros, the cons, best in slot partners, future-proof ability. And if you want to see a full video of me talking about why I think Cyrene is the biggest pump fake of all time, that video is on the channel already. So you'll watch that video after this one. With that being said, guys, let's start with the best DPS of 3.0 first, that being Miss Castorice, guys. First of all, let's hop into her pros. Number one, guys, holy damage. She had some of the biggest damage in the game, actually the biggest damage in the game. I don't think there's any contest with that. Just quickly glancing at the Pride Win tier list, while yes, she is in tier 0 across the board in MOC, Pure Fiction, and Apocalyptic Shadow, she's probably the only character in the game that can beat Anomaly Arbitration on the final stage with super low investment costs. So I honestly do think that she probably outclasses all of these other characters like Finon, like March 7th, like Hyacine, like Anaxa, like Archer in terms of damage. So yeah, massive damage there, guys. Next up, holy support options. I mean, if you take a look at what our best in slot teams are, I mean, you could run her on a team with Tribbie, you can run her on a team with Remembrance MC, you can run her on a team with Ruan May, and you can run her on a team with the new Cyrene. Like, there are just so many different options, not to even mention March 7th here, and even Cypher as well. Like, she has so many different support options, it is insane. So if you have pulled a supportive type character in version 3.x, it will work for Castorice really well. Next, guys, SP neutral, meaning she never uses a skill point, which is very nice to see in a DPS character, meaning you have the ability to actually supercharge the ult on the rest of your team faster. Next up, guys, she also gives res pin, which is really nice, and then she has very consistent ult uptime. So all of these things super good. Let's hop into the cons though. Light cone options, very limited option in terms of the light cone. She is a remembrance character, and with her being a remembrance character, you have to keep in mind, first of all, we don't have that many light cone options to begin with. Secondly, guys, she is going to be very reliant on max HP here. So we're talking best in slot light cone, her signature light cone. Second best in slot light cone here, guys, is going to be the Flower Remembers, which is a battle pass light cone. Or third best in slot option is going to be the Sweat Now Cry Less, which is a battle pass option. And then from that, guys, literally you need to get a abundance light cone to make it good. Like, yeah, very fraught for choice here. Overall build is quite rough as well. And what I mean by the overall build is rough, you need to be focusing on HP, an insanely high crit rate, and an insanely high crit damage to actually make her feel functional on the team. I mean, if you can get past the build aspect, like the overall build is just rough. If you can get past it, she's going to be absolutely great for you, like I said in the pros here. And then finally, guys, DPS 4.x power creep. If we have the same power creep that happened in version 2.0 to 3.0, she is going to be absolutely cooked, and pretty quickly cooked at that. So now I'll talk about her best in slot partners, guys. Literally Cyrene, Tribbie, Hyacine. Oh, I wonder what... Hoyoverse putting the best 4 characters on the work on the best team in the game on the same side of the patch. Surely that's not scummy, right? Holy crap, guys. Surely they won't make a lot of money off this banner. Anyways, guys, hopping into future-proof ability. Yo, the Acheron of 3.x, guys, she'll be good until the inevitable 4.0 gap. She can work as a sub DPS. The reason why she can work as a sub DPS, first of all, SP neutral. Any character in the game that is SP neutral, in my opinion, can be used as a sub DPS. Though she will not be giving any buffs to the team, so I guess that's a con inherently with her being a sub DPS. But the amount of damage she's able to provide is absolutely massive, and also she can't work on shield characters either, or preservation characters on the team, so do keep that in mind when you're running her as a sub DPS if you choose to do that in the future. So I do think she has okay value. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's okay value. Now let's hop into what I think to be the best healer in 3.0 is, or best sustain character is. That is going to be Miss Hyacine here, guys. Yeah, first of all, best in slot healing, best healing all around the board. There's no doubt about that. Free sub DPS stats. She gives herself 100% free, that's a percent there, free crit rate, guys. So that makes her build that much easier for that. Good free-to-play build options. Like, you can have so many different options in terms of the light cones you can use with her here. You can use the free-to-play Her to Shop light cone. So, I mean, like, very free-to-play options here. And in terms of the overall build, you have Warriors Thunder God, like, not the worst thing in the world to get. Also, the build there is pretty easy because you already have 100% free crit rate. So you're focusing on what? Speed, crit damage, and HP percentage. And with that being said, she already gives herself so much free speed. Just overall build is really easy, guys. So she's going to be a great sustain for you on top of doing some pretty decent damage as well. Hopping into the console, SP use is a must for sub DPS damage and burst healing, meaning you need to be using the skill quite often to get her ult back up. Getting her ult back up allows you to do your main majority of your damage, and then also if you're running into sticky situations with healing, you need to be using SP more. That's why she works so well with someone like Castorice. So having her on a team that's kind of more SP negative kind of balances out, but for other teams, you might have to worry about the SP more. Her Sig feels like a must. Now, the reason why I say this, guys, is because her Sig is so insanely strong, like so insanely strong that it feels like a must. First of all, increases speed by an absolute shit ton. Next, guys, she's going to be consuming your allies HP, so it plays really good into Castorice and really any other HP consuming ally that you might have. She's also going to be increasing her sub DPS damage by quite a bit, considering she can do damage based off the HP consumed. And then she gives an 18% vulnerability debuff on the enemy as well. So this is by far and away, it feels like a must. I won't say it is a must. There's a big difference though in what best in slot can do compared to what second best in slot can do. Next, guys, lacks buffs outside of HP scaling. So in the future, when we're looking at building her on a team, the only thing she really gives is HP. So if you don't have an HP scaler, not the best thing in the world, in my opinion. But hopping into our best in slot partners, guys. Oh, Castorice, Evernight, Thurda, Acheron, like literally can be ran on most teams. Acheron's a star here because you do need her Sig to make sure you're actually able to use this right here, because the Sig puts a debuff on the enemy. So yeah, future-proof ability though, guys. Insane sustain for the foreseeable future, though lacks buffs outside of non-HP scaling related teams, and is the backbone for most teams. Yeah, your sustain character is the backbone for most teams, and considering how current sustain characters are starting to feel worse and worse and worse, we have a free summon in Dan Heng, guys. So having a free summon in Dan Heng, absolutely massive. So you have Dan Heng, you have her. Your sustain's pretty much set unless you're doing anomaly arbitration. Then you need a third sustain, which could be something like a Gallagher, which I think can work there pretty decently. That's all now that I have to mention on its Hyacine. Let's go ahead and talk about the lady of the hour, the best support of 3.0. You notice how I didn't mention her being the best support. Miss Tribbie. First of all, easy ults. Now, this is going to completely depend on how many AoE attacks you're hitting. We'll touch on that in the con section later. SP positive. You can use basically basic attack, and then skill, and then basic attack, skill. So she is SP positive in that sense. She also fits in most teams as well. Like if you go take a look at any of the teams that Tribbie is able to use in and be used in, guys, she literally has so many different variations, whether that be Castorice, whether that be Thurda, whether that be March 7th, whether that be really any team, guys. And you can even see here, Evernight, Aggie, Castorice, Thurda, like literally across the board, she works in almost all those teams. Also has AoE, Rest Pin, and Vulnerability. Yes. So these are some of the most niche buffs in the game that really only she can provide at such a high value. This will unlock so much more damage for your DPS because of the fact that a lot of our DPS now have a lot of attack buff, have a lot of HP buff that formulates into damage, right? Or has a lot of damage percent bonus, right? This right here, you don't really find much of this in many characters. So having these super niche debuffs increases your damage by tenfold. Maybe that's an over exaggeration, but you get the point. And then simple and sweet. Literally, what do you use the ult? She does follow-up attacks, does damage for you. She's a sub DPS. So like, you don't have to do anything with her. I really don't think there's any big brain strats you have to use with Tribbie to actually use her. She just kind of is there and oonga boonga brain, okay? Cons. AoE team is needed for fast ult. Yeah, so if you don't have an AoE team, ults will be a lot harder to charge up, and then high investment for high damage, meaning you need HP, a lot of crit rate, a lot of crit damage. That's where the main majority of her damage is coming from, and you're going to be needing to invest in those stats to make sure she gets it. Though I don't think you need it. I just think if you're trying to use her as a sub DPS, which I think she works really well at, you do need to have quite high investment for the build itself. Future-proof ability though, guys. E1 has insane value. On top of that, the niche debuff she already brings to the table, while being compatible with most teams, she is the Ruan Mei of 3.0. Yeah, she, if any character, guys, if we take a look at the tier list here, you know, there's usually a character that will succeed time and space for multiple patches. Ruan Mei did that in version 1.0. Honestly, Robin did that for version 2.0. Let's give it a buck here, guys. I tell you, Tribbie's gonna do that for version 3.0. She is so good. Best buffer in the game. She will transcend it all. And also, as I mentioned there, guys, E1 has insane value. Literally gives you true damage for your whole team. Insane. Now, onto the elephant of the room is Cyrene, guys. The pump fake, right? The pump fake, surely. First of all, let's talk about her pros, because she does do a lot of things good. If you have Castorice, Evernight, or Aggie, I think she's a really good pull for your account. I just want to let that be known up front. Specialized buffs, AoE ult. So literally, if we go down the list here, guys, you can see that she literally has a buff for each character. Maide, Castorice, Anaxa, any Cryosayer, she has a specialized buff for. And when I say AoE ult, that means whenever she ults, she makes all of your other teammates automatically ult as well. So this is very unique to her, and no one else can do this. On top of this as well, guys, she gives a true damage buff to the whole team. So an AoE true damage buff, which is on par with what Tribbie's E1 provides, which is like 24%, right? Yeah, 24%. Yeah, 24% there as well. So literally on par with the E1 that Miss Tribbie can provide there. But then she's also providing a damage bonus for the whole team as well. And then also a 40% damage bonus if you're buffing a non-Cryos character. So that's like an 80% damage bonus. So 40% to the team, 40% to a single target. So 80% for your main DPS, if you want to say, right? And then a decent sub DPS, not gonna lie. But hopping into her cons, non-Cryosayer teams, fucking cooked. And even with the non-Cryosayer teams, I think there are some Cryosayer teams that she doesn't even necessarily work that well on. I made a full video on the team late tier list if you want to check that video out, guys, going over what I think her best Cryosayers are and what her worst Cryosayers are. As a quick example here of what I'll say is I think that characters like Hyacine, not really the best in the world. Even characters like Maide, I think Maide, she gets a big buff from that, but still like not the best thing in the world in my opinion, but it's kind of a pump fake in the matter that, okay, she gets a specialized buff, but not all the buffs are super best in slot buff for every single character necessarily, right? Now, hopping into the next con here, 40% damage bonus to single target non-cryosayer. That means if the person you're targeting on the team with her single target buff, if they're not a cryosayer, then they don't get the extra 40% damage bonus, which I think is kind of cringe. I think you should just give the damage bonus to your cryosayer as well. That would make her much more better in the future. But that's kind of down bad and ass. Now, ult charge issue, yeah, if you don't have her with any Memo Sprite characters or really any cryosayers, really Memo Sprites, if you don't have her with Memo Sprite characters on a lot of them, ult cost is going to be absolutely cooked for you. I am not going to lie. It is up for you if you do not have that because of how long it takes her to charge her ult back up, considering the buff stays on the Memo Sprites to actually keep giving her points towards her ultimate move. Overall, team buffs are just okay, like a 40% damage bonus. Okay, that's nice. And then a 24% damage bonus. It's okay, right? But overall, I think Tribbie provides much more even at E1. So yeah, that's obviously we're comparing E1 to S1 here, but we're going to get into the Eidolons in a second here. Next, future value is fucking cooked, guys. So before we hop into the future value here and tell you why it's cooked, best in slot partner, Castorice, Evernight, Aggie. Okay, she works with most right characters. We knew that already. Castorice being best in slot, Evernight being second, and Aggie being third best in slot here. Now, future proof ability. Bro is really cooked because of how specialized she is for 3.x cryosayers and doesn't even get a real value outside of cryosayer teams until E2. What I mean by this, guys, is if you're not running her on one of these three teams right here, she doesn't really help out all too much. Also with that as well, she is so kerfuckled to cryosayers that what if she doesn't get a buff in the future to add in more cryosayers if more cryosayers are added to the game, which there probably won't be, right? What good does she do there, right? None at all. Like, she is literally buffing old characters that have come out months and months and months ago, not being able to provide a significant enough buff to the characters that come in the future. Now, while I say she's not really valuable until E2 for outside of Cryosayers teams, that's because of the fact that we look at E1 for Tribbie, right? She provides a 24% like true damage bonus for the whole team. While yes, she can do that off rip, but like look at her Eidolons here. Like, I mean, her E1 is whenever Mem triggers a Memo Sprite skill, you get 6 recollection points, which I mean is okay for getting like the ult back up for sure, but you have to trigger the Memo Sprite skill for that to even happen in the first place. So I mean, that's like an okay buff, but E2 is where it gets really interesting because whenever you enter combat, you get immediately 12 recollection points, which will essentially almost like basically first turn you get the ult off, right? Next with this, guys, for each different ally character that gains a Memo Sprite skill buff from Mem, the damage bonus of the true damage is going to be increasing even more to another 24%, up to a max of another 24%. With this, you still need Cryosayers on the team to get a maximum of a 48% true damage bonus to the whole team. So that's quick there as well. So with that being said, guys, I think she's the biggest pump fake of all time. I made a video about that. We're not going to go too much more into detail of that. All right, guys, so now we have a full priority list here. You guys getting mad at this? I think number 4, Cyrene. The reason I think this is because what future value does she have? After this patch, she is useless almost. Practically useless for any other character coming out in the future. Genuinely. In terms of the buff she provides, just universally, kind of dog shit, kind of ass. Who I'd put at number 3 would probably be Castorice, because honestly, why the fuck are you pulling Cyrene if you don't have Castorice? Like, you pull Castorice before you pull Cyrene, okay? With that being said, now, guys, this is gonna be where it gets a little bit weird at for me. So I'm gonna put a Hyacine up here, or however you say her name, Miss High C right here, okay? We're putting her at number 2. Now, this can actually swap between 2 and 3, depends on how many sustains you have. If you have enough 5-star sustains in your account already, they provide enough sustain for your team already, genuinely, I probably don't recommend pulling Hyacine here. I think the Hyacine drops in value, or maybe she even drops below Cyrene here. Like, it could definitely be one of the cases where Hyacine is either 3 or 4, depending on what your sustainability looks like on your account and what other builds you have on your account and what other characters you have. If you have Castorice, obviously value goes up. If you don't have Castorice, value drops a little bit. But that's where I would say that the Hyacine is at. She can fluctuate quite a bit. And the number 1 is Tribbie, guys. Tribbie is that bitch, guys. I would recommend pulling Tribbie and getting E1 for Tribbie, because I think E1 Tribbie provides you so much more future value than someone like Cyrene does. So if you agree with what I said in today's video, leave it in the comment section down below. If you disagreed, leave that there too. Like if you like, dislike if you don't, and that's gonna do it for today's video. Subscribe if you haven't already, guys. Let me know your thoughts, though. I really want to hear how much of a pump fake you think Castorice is. Go watch that video now if you haven't already. Bye, guys. See you later.